YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman Raw. So today we've got a bit of a masking vid. I've got this Toyota Hiace van here, people mover type thing, and I just thought I'd take you through the job. So yeah, the job in and of itself, it's nothing that special. It's the kind of car I probably wouldn't usually do a video on, but I was trying to play around with the settings on the camera and improve it, but and then in doing that, I had the camera in the booth, and I thought, well, it's here now, I may as well do a video. And I thought some people might like to watch me mask up something a bit bigger than usual. That's why I thought, well, maybe the fact that it's bigger could be the reason to do a video on it. So yeah, a pretty big repair there, as you can see, and all that sort of pinky colored primer is UV primer, and when you're using UV primer over your 2-pack, that usually means that the repair wasn't very good in the first place. So yes, that's what happened. It doesn't bother me. It used to, like, I used to get like pretty angry and kind of a bit aggressive, I guess, when I would block a repair like that down and then have all that body filler. So I had to reapply body filler here. Again, I use the UV stuff. There was another repair I had to do here. There was one here, and there was one here too. That used to really annoy me because it would slow me down. So as you guys know, I like to just get in and get shit done. So when someone else's incompetence slows you down, it's obviously pretty frustrating, you know. I think that's fair enough to get that way, to get a bit frustrated. So it's not like it's unwarranted, but I think I mentioned it in another video that the UV primer has really been a bit of a breakthrough, and it really is amazing stuff. So with the UV primer, because it goes so hard, it's something that you can. So what will happen, like if I cut through to that body filler here, right, and then I put, say, aerosol or just 1K primer over it, you're gonna find 100 pinholes, right? And then because you've used 1K, you try to fill the pinholes up, the 1K will like the body filler would freshen up the 1K primer, and you'd tear it, and it would just be an absolute mess. So you have to 2-pack it. So in the past, we would have had to have 2-packed that, and the amount of time that 2-pack primer takes to dry is a lot longer than the UV primers. So yeah, like UV primer, you're talking 30 seconds per patch when you're using your light, you know, compared to a couple of hours using the 2-pack primer. So good thing I've got this stand here, and we got that up the right way. Yep. Bloody stupid aerial up there. So what I do when I mask these kind of big jobs is I try to cover that side first, and if I need to patch up this side with some masking paper, that's what I'll do. You might do it differently, and that's all good, but this is just how I do it, and it seems to work well for me. Basically aiming for this to be pulled up to there. I can pull it over a little bit more, which will actually be perfect. So it'll cover this perfectly. I won't have to patch that up. As long as I'm not gonna rip it. No, that kind of wants to stay there. Yeah, we'll leave that there. And I will have to put a bit of paper down here because we don't want to overspray down there. And now what you do is you pull these side bits over, so that's another handy little trick. Most of these little things, you kind of got to just figure it out yourself. Like all things like that, I've figured most of that out myself. I stopped putting these in my pants pocket because I was busting a hole in them all. So I know lots of people have been enjoying the daily Gunman Raw vids, or thereabouts, you know. not exactly every day, but most days these days I've been doing one. I might even do the painting stage. Like, we've done the masking, may as well do the painting stage too on this one. I've got to do a little bit of a blend up the top here with the clear, that is. I'll be blending the colours, so I'm doing this in base coat and clear coat. Another thing, I actually did have a few cut throughs on the prep work. They really don't put much paint on these Hiace vans. I'll tell you what, it really didn't take much for me to cut through, as most of the Japanese cars these days. It's just, they're not built to last. I was actually just in the smoko room talking to my mate at lunch break, talking about, I feel like the quality of workmanship and just everything, I guess, seems to have dropped off a cliff here in Australia. I can only really talk for Australia. Yeah, like in my lifetime, you know, so I was born in 1983, it really does feel like the quality demanded and accepted is a lot lower than what it used to be. So like, that's what I was saying to my mate up there in the morning tea room. I'm like, man, in many ways, like, the older generation, like our fathers and our grandfathers, like, they were better for the environment than we are, you know. Like, they built shit to last. You'd buy it, it'd last, and when it does break down, you'd fix it. Rather than these days, even this entire van, like, when this is 15 or 20 years old, it'll just be turfed out, mate, kicked to the curb. It'll be crushed, you know. Whereas back in the day, they'd make something once well, and then when it does break down, they would fix it, and they would just keep it for a lot longer. And that's better for the environment, if you ask me. You know, you got all these politicians and all these lefties banging on about the environment, but when you actually talk to them about, you know, the reality of it, they don't want to change any of their way of living. They don't want to, you know, they don't demand with their wallet that things are built better. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like, you vote with your wallet when you buy something. And look, personally, I do my best to, you know, buy good quality. I like to strike that balance between quality and value. You know, a lot of the time, like, the best quality stuff is, yeah, a little bit out of, you know, what I'm willing to pay. So I'll go sort of middle of the range. Anyway, I'm ranting on. I'll shut up now. Think of something else to talk about. This is not my favorite masking tape, actually. It's the 3M yellow automotive masking tape, but it's like it's too firm, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just too strong. So what can happen sometimes, little things like that, if you're not careful, you got to actually push it down a little bit more than you do with the other stuff, like the cream colored stuff, the beigey cream stuff. But it's just what they use here. I don't know, I don't care enough with things like that to rock the boat anymore. As I was saying before, like, I used to get like angry and kind of aggressive about, oh, these bloody panel beaters. And as I say, like, it's still annoying, don't get me wrong, like, it annoys me. I shouldn't even have to do that, but I'm not gonna go and get worked up about it, I guess, whereas I used to. Like, these days I'm just like, whatever, man. You know, I'm not going to change the world. I feel like I can't, you know, like, and me getting, the other side of it is, it's like, you don't gain much out of it, you know. You if anything, like, you're making your own life worse. Like, just stop caring so much, I guess. I guess, and that's what it used to be. It used to be like, man, I used to try and I still do, don't get me wrong. I used to try and, you know, get all my work done and do the best I could do, but then when, you know, you'd see other people doing half-assed shit, it kind of feels like half-assed. I mean, he might think that he's doing a good job, and there's a good argument for me not to fix that, you know what I mean? But on the other hand, like, that's not me. Like, if I was to go and complain about this and say, oh man, this is bullshit, you know, okay, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna get any better at his repairs? And I don't think he is, you know what I mean? So that's why I just say, no, I'll just do it myself. That's gonna get the job done quickest. And bosses like that, you know, they like a can-do type of an attitude. A can-do attitude is like, no, I'm gonna do that job. I'm gonna use the UV technology, and I'm gonna get the job painted today. I actually said that to my boss today. I said, like, do you want this painted today? Because I would really actually, to get it to look perfect, I would actually like to 2-pack primer. I would like another 4 nice wet coats of 2-pack primer, let it dry overnight. And he's like, yeah, I'd kind of really like to get it done today. And I'm like, yeah, no worries, man. I'll just UV it. So yeah, as I say, like, it's all good, man. And no, and if it didn't get painted today, I wouldn't be too concerned, but you know, it will get painted today easily because of that awesome UV technology. I'm actually going to give it some wet on wet primer too. I'm going to give it like a white wet on wet primer. I've then mixed and matched the color. I mixed up 500 mils of color. It's a relatively large section. Last thing you want to do is go and run out of paint. I did notice there was a little stone chip down here somewhere, so I'll probably do like a little touch up on that. It's kind of far enough down on the blend panel that I don't usually fix. My rule of thumb is usually halfway down. I try not to fix things as far as filling it in. I'll do touch-ups, no dramas at all. But when I was doing the prep work on this, I think I mentioned it before, they don't put much color on it. It's just gone through here and up there. I only use like my 1000 grit pad by hand. I thought I was being pretty careful, but it just cut straight through. So I do have a couple of bits I'm gonna have to puff a little bit of color over, but I mean, my color's good, don't get me wrong, but I still would have, in a perfect world, I would have preferred to have just put clear up this end. Another thing I'll probably be doing, because it's white, is just putting 1 coat of clear up to the end, so that we don't, I guess you think about it like a swimming pool. The color of the swimming pool changes at the deep end, doesn't it? So same thing with your clear coat. You know, if you go and put 2 wet coats of clear, specifically on the lighter colors like silvers, whites, and even pretty much all solid colors can do it. Especially the pastel ones, they're the worst for it, but yeah, you can get that sort of, I don't know, swimming pool effect. That's the best word I can think of. Whereas if you put too much clear, you're not actually technically changing the color, but because it's clear, although some clears can be yellow, and that's another story. But yeah, the 136 clear that we use it's not the best clear that I've ever used, but I'd say it's good. I actually quite enjoy using it. I've played around with the thinning ratios on it, and I found that 0.8% reducer is the sweet spot. So 3:1 is the thinning ratio, and this is just an Aussie clear. The LBC 136 is an Australian clear, so I understand that, you know, most of my American viewers aren't really going to get much out of me talking about this clear. But yeah, another strange thing that PPG does with their thinning ratios, they don't do it in percents. Like, so most, and I think I did mention this in a previous video, but like, they don't give you a 3:1 plus 10%. That would make sense to my stupid spray painter's brain. But they give it to you in like a point, so it'll be like, yeah, 3:1 plus, oh, hold on, that might actually cover part of what we wanted to cover. Yeah, so it'll be 3:1 plus 0.6, 3:1 plus 0.8, 3:1 plus 0.1, and it's like, man, I don't really understand that shit, you know what I mean? Because every other paint system I've ever used has given the the reducer as a percentage, and I tried to figure it out like as a formula, so I will know what 0.8 is as a percentage. And I did figure it out for 2 to 1, but then as you do the maths, you'll start to realize, hold on, 0.8 of 2 to 1 is different than 0.8 of 3 to 1. So I can't, and all the different products we've got, like your wet on wet primer might be 5 to 1. Your 2-pack sandable primer might be 4 to 1. Your clear coat might be 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. So it's sort of hard for me to figure out like a rule of thumb for what these thinning ratios actually are in percentages. But yeah, as just a minor gripe. And yeah, I mean, PPG, their computer system feels a little bit archaic. It feels like it was made 20 years ago and it's just been added to, if you know what I mean. Like it feels like they've never done like a proper ground up, let's modernize it, you know what I mean. And I know it might sound like having a bit of a bitch about PPG, and whereas I don't actually mind it, like it's just fine, like it does the job. There's a few little bits of criticism, I guess. So that's about it. I'm gonna throw another piece down the bottom on the other side. Whoa, work cover. I don't usually have that sitting on the ground there. I should have moved that. That's about it, eh? I hope you learned something out of the masking videos. I'd just like to say a big thanks to everybody for staying loyal to my channel and watching. I'm gonna prep sol it down, and I'll do a painting video on this too. I'm gonna actually put a little bit of seam sealer inside there because it's busted up a bit, so we don't get water up through the wheel arches. And I'll be in here. I'm gonna prep sol it off camera just so that the next video doesn't get too long. But that's about it. I'll give you guys a quick look over the job. That's where we're up to. As I say, I've got to do some fine false edging around some of these edges. I've got to put another piece of paper down the bottom there, and I'll see you guys in the spray painting video tomorrow. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.